Namaste, world raisers. Let's jump right into part number 3.
See, there is certain predisposition within us. Light better than darkness, if you say. We always experience ourselves as conscious beings. Isn't it so? Very word experience. Experience itself includes, it's almost tautological. It's almost circular to say that we experience ourselves as consciousness, because experience includes the fact that there must be consciousness. Otherwise, how will you experience? So, our very nature is to be conscious. You have never been unconscious. You have never had an experience of unconsciousness. When you come out of, suppose you were unconscious, you come out of it, then you think back and you say, at that time I was unconscious. But in unconsciousness, you don't experience anything. Blankness. So you always experience your own self as consciousness, as a conscious being. Now just extend it. Light is very much like consciousness. Physical light, of course, is a good example for consciousness. Why? It illumines. And we are, just the opposite is darkness, which is an absence of light. So in that sense, we like light because it's very much according to our nature. Another thing is, we always search for happiness. We always search for happiness. We try to avoid unhappiness. Therefore, certain things which make us happy, we say they are good. With certain things which make us unhappy, we say they are bad. Although the things in themselves may be quite neutral, they may not be good or bad as such. But the effect they are having on us is happiness and unhappiness. Now, the whole idea here is, the self which I have discovered here is beyond this happiness and unhappiness. The happiness and unhappiness are all within this waking world and the dream world. Okay. Question? Yeah, there's a question there. Yeah.
One is that here they have used Anta Pragyam, Bahish Pragyam.
Bahish Pragyam. It actually should be Bahish Pragyam, and the spelling mistake is there, yeah.
So they have used in Napumsakalingam.
Yeah.
Suddenly they will change it to Pullingam in last.
Yeah.
Why is that
Actually, it is difficult to say. They will simply pass it off as Ashva Prayoga. Ashva Prayoga means, Ashva means comes from the Rishi. So you don't hold the Rishis to the rules of Sanskrit grammar. So you will find lot of times in Upanishads, in 𝐀𝐻𝐿 Upanishad for example, you will find this usage, te vidanchakara, te vidanchakara, they knew. But you know Sanskrit grammar, you would say it should be te vidanchakruhu, they knew in plural. If te is there, it should be plural. Vidanchakara is singular. Now the question is raised in 𝐀𝐻𝐿 Upanishad, how come you are starting with plural and you end up, the verb is in singular? This is a basic Sanskrit problem. But there you cannot touch it, because the idea is the Shrutis. You should not use your grammar on the Shrutis, you just leave it as Ashva Prayoga. The translation would be roughly poetic license. Poetic license, just like you would not hold a poet to the rules of grammar. So here also you leave it, you just leave it like that. Yeah.
Last bit is there that Vijnana. So who is that who has to know all these things? Because he doesn't have that any of the sambandha with any of the other things.
True.
So the knowing sambandha also who should have?
Absolutely. This is a good question, and I will deal with it tomorrow in one of the karikas. I'll just give you one line answer. Gaudapada Acharya will take up this question, I think in the 17th or 18th karika, which will come in the second handout, which we will get tomorrow. And the answer he gives is, just now, quite apart from all this, we find ourselves ignorant. We do not know this. We are just reading about it. We don't feel that. But our reality now is that we feel, I am this one, this I don't know. I don't know myself as this. This ignorance I have. About what? About the Turiam. I have an ignorance about the Turiam, and because of this ignorance, I imagine that I am the waker. Now in this state, I am the one who has to realize myself as Turiam. When I realize myself as Turiam, I will realize that there was no waker or waking state separate from me. Gaudapada Acharya's answer, one sentence answer to that is, for the purpose of instruction, the relation between knower and known, in fact this is the exact word he used, Upadeshad, for the purpose of teaching, the relationship is set up between Guru, Shishya, Shastra, and all of that is sublated, badhita, when you realize yourself as the Turiam. It's not that they will disappear. Moment you realize I am Turiam, suddenly Sarvapriyananda will disappear, the classroom will disappear, everything will go into a haze of white light. No. They will still be there. Just like when you realize the blue sky, the blueness in the sky. Actually, the sky is not blue. You know the physics behind it. So it just looks blue. Now, once you understand the physics behind it, you know fully well the sky is not blue. After that, when you look up at the sky, what do you see? Blue sky. Similarly, here you will realize what is the Turiya. This world will keep on appearing. Your friends need not be scared, that if you realize the Turiya, we will all disappear. You will realize the background. Just like once you realize this is gold, it doesn't mean the bangle will disappear, or the necklace or the ring will disappear. You just know the reality behind it. That will come in the 17th or 18th Karika. Exactly this question is answered. Yeah. Any other question?
So, Maharaj, how the Turiya is separated from all these things?
I'll just finish that one and come to.
What is behind consciousness? That is what I am asking. What is consciousness? It is such that is flowing through all these states.
Yeah.
But then, who is observing that consciousness? What is behind that consciousness?
The answer would be, there is nothing behind the consciousness, because according to Advaita Vedanta, consciousness is swaprakasha. It's like light, a tube light which illumines this hall. The hall is in darkness. When you switch on the tube light, the hall is illumined. Now, do you need one more tube light to illumine that tube light? You don't. The tube light illumines itself and the hall. In the same way, consciousness is self-illumined, and it illumines whatever comes in front of it. So, you don't have to posit one more consciousness, because then it leads to what is called anavastha, regresses as ad infinitum. And it goes with our experience also. When I am conscious, I don't require one more consciousness to illumine the consciousness. But remember, this consciousness is apart from the thoughts. One thought can be about another thought. A thought can be about the world, and a thought can be about other thoughts also. So thoughts can be about other thoughts. That's what's called introspection. But this consciousness is not introspection. I'll tell you one interesting question came. You've heard of Susan Blackmore, those who do research in consciousness studies and AI and all. She is a well-known researcher. So she says this idea of self-consciousness, I, it's nothing permanent. And some spiritual people say I-ness, the permanent I is there. No. She says it's just like the example she gives is a refrigerator. When you open the door, there's a light. So whenever you open the door, there's a light. But when you close the door, is the light there? Actually, because you know how the refrigerator is designed, so there's no light there, you know that. But we can never see it, unless you are a mechanic when you open everything up. But whenever you open the door, there is a light. And these people, Susan Blackmore says that these people, they make a mistake. When they look in their minds, they see an I-ness. But the I-ness disappears. Suppose we are talking about flow yesterday. When you are in flow, in fact, the I feeling disappears. So there is no permanent I, that's what she is saying. But she is making a fundamental mistake here. Advaita Vedanta would say, what she is taking, the refrigerator light, that is not consciousness. That is the ahankara of the waker, the I, the ego here, the knower. This comes and goes. This also comes and goes. This also comes and goes. But what illumines their coming and going, the station master, that is what is meant by Turiyam here, pure consciousness. See, till today, in Western thought, mostly in Western psychology, even in neuroscience, they don't make a distinction between mind and consciousness. They don't make a distinction between mind and consciousness. Thoughts and consciousness are supposed to be the same. In Western poetry, philosophy, you will see soul means the mind. Personality, mind, soul, they're taken as one entity. But in Indian thought, not only Advaita, consciousness or the ātman is separate from the mind, and that is separate from the body. A trichotomous view of the human personality. Body, mind and ātman. So consciousness is apart from the mind, where this I may come and go like a refrigerator light. This may come and go, she is right there. But what Advaita speaks about is not that I. Speaking about the light which shines on that I. When the I is present, when the I is absent also. One more question, then we wrap up.
Wow.
I think today's going was a little heavy. I sort of expected it to be heavy. Okay, I'll take up your question. Yeah, go ahead.
If I know that at a moment that I am not a waker, I am not a dreamer, I am not a sleeper, so I should be indifferent to all the emotions like happiness, sorrows or everything.
Yes.
I should just see emotions going in front of me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So why should I feel sympathy to a poor, or why should I have a sympathy towards someone who needs my help? I should be different to him.
True.
Why shouldn't I kill him?
Yeah, true. First of all, you wouldn't kill him also because you would be indifferent to your own emotions also, right? So now this is an interesting question, but the answer is also pretty straightforward. Now you see, there are two ways of looking at this. One is the Turiya is apart from the waker and the waking world, right? First of all, why are we identified with all this? The reason given in Advaita is because we are ignorant of the Turiya. We are not aware of it at all. We are not aware of it at all. We don't understand it. We may read about it, but we don't feel it. When we are ignorant of something, error comes. This is the fundamental thing. From ajnana, or let's use English, from ignorance comes error. Comes error. If I don't know that there is a rope, in the darkness, the rope is there, a semi-darkness, so what do I see? A snake. So I am ignorant of the rope and I make the error, I think it's a snake. Right? I am ignorant of myself as the untouched, unchanging, pure consciousness, and what I see in myself in front of me, the world, this body and mind, and I immediately identify myself with this mind. Mind is full of thoughts, happiness, sadness, desires, everything, and I go on like this. I become the waker. I become the waker. Now, this is one way of looking at it. So the Turiyam is apart from the waker. To answer your question, Turiyam is apart from the waker. If you are really apart from it, you ought to be indifferent to it. Or another way of looking at it is the Turiyam itself which appears as the waker and the waking world. Just like in your dream, you appear as the dreamer and the dreaming world. The one who is sleeping and dreaming. In his mind he creates a dream and he is also himself in that dream. In fact, the entire dream, the people in the dream, the animals and the non-living things, and he himself in the dream, all of them are not apart from his mind. He's actually become everything in that dream. And this states that this Turiyam itself is appearing as all this. In other words, the Turiyam is one with all. Now, some sadhaka or some spiritual giant may stress the oneness aspect of it. You'll find in Vivekananda again and again and again, he says, you are one, we are one with the universe. It's not a rhetorical thing. You should feel one with the universe, which is good, but he states this as a fact, as an assertion. Actually, you are one with the universe. If you limit yourself to this body and mind, you are separate from all bodies and minds. But if you see what is behind that, like gold, then you are one with everything made of gold. Gold is one with everything made of gold. You will see yourself as pure consciousness. In yourself, all these things are taking place. Then you have a sense of oneness with all beings. If you stress that oneness, then the unhappiness of a person, the misery of another person actually will bring a response in you. Just as right now my misery brings a response in me, when I have sarvatma bhava, the oneness with everybody, it automatically does. And you see it in the lives of great sadhakas and great spiritual giants. They respond to the life, to the sufferings of others. But you are right. There may be a kind of spiritual giant who does not respond, who may not be cruel, but may simply be indifferent to the world which he will see as a dream. So there have been such people, and they have also been very great spiritual people also. And you can see it in them, a kind of deep peace and joy is there within them. If somebody comes in front who is suffering, they will help. And that has been explained in different ways. A simple explanation would be, these people have gone through a long period of spiritual practice. And so the mind of that person is suffused with thoughts of good thoughts, helpful thoughts. After realization, when he sees himself apart from all, what would he do? He would let the body and mind go on doing what they were doing, like an inertia of motion. So the inertia of motion of a sage would be to help others. He is apart from the helping also. He sees himself as illumining both the helper and the helped.
Wow.
This here, we are really going to the peak of the Everest here. The final word the Upanishads have to say about this. And I've packed so much into one class. I was seeing the explanation given by a very senior Swami. I've given you just 4 or 5 points here, the whole 1 hour session. That Swami, he explains this verse in 127 points, out of which I've given you less than 10% today. So if there seem to be gaps, it's very natural. If If you think it's all perfectly clear, then either you are a realized soul or you haven't been following what's going on. There should be some gaps actually. There should be some areas of confusion or where you can feel a little uneasy about what's going on here. Should we wrap it up? Tomorrow, I'm going into the extensions of this mantra, the implications. And Gaudapada Acharya's Karikas will take up 7 or 8 Karikas, which is in the second handout, which will come tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Whew, very technical.
No doubt. That was fantastic. So I have read the Upanishads. Very deep wisdom there. So to break it all down, very succinctly, absolutely love this video. Even he's saying that it's pretty profound, might be a bit much for one little hour and a half talk, but I love that, there's people out there teaching this just to regular, common people, and that lecture hall was full of people. So that's absolutely fantastic. People interested in this sort of wisdom. Like I said before, it's just, the teachings of truth is the truth. There's only one truth, and then there's just many different ways of expressing that truth. So in our background, me and Sabine, Buddhist seekers, I totally see, the similarities just in the teaching styles, right? So, the Turiya could also be expressed as Buddha nature, right? So it's always there, right? And how, the Buddha said that, it's always there. You just need to realize it, right? When the Buddha attained enlightenment, he became the awakened one. He was awakened, to that state, right? And of course, there's other realized beings that have realized the same from all sorts of traditions, using different words and different names. So I do have the Upanishads here. I grabbed it after part 2, just so we could check out, the English translation of that. And it's, it's pretty long, so I'm not going to read it all. But I do want to read the 4th is the superconscious state called Turiya, neither inward nor outward, beyond the senses and the intellect, in which there is none other than the Lord. He is the supreme goal of life. He is infinite peace and love. Realize him. So very deep, very profound. So yes, I have read the Upanishads.
I didn't yet.
Yeah, she needs to, right? Mm-hmm. So someday, young Padawan. Totally mind-blowing teachings, right? Very deep, very profound. So love this video. The 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Nice.
May the 4th be with us all, right? So, so necessary in this time in history, right? So the spiritual seekers have access to these teachings, and there's nothing more important to realize. Once we realize Turiya, right, that we are, one with the infinite field of consciousness, call it by whatever name, but that consciousness is within all of us. So the consciousness is the light that lights up the whole world, and it's the light that shines through all sentient beings. I love the analogy with the gold, because if you look at gold, the substance gold, any piece of gold in the whole world, there's only the one gold, right? And that gold is the essence, and it's the same with consciousness, right? So the Turiya, the light within all of us, we're all one. And everything is an appearance to our mind, right? So the mental activity, the identity that we grasp onto, and we think that we are this, and this is my body, and this is my mind, and these are my thoughts. No, we got to go beyond that. And then once we see that, or even conceptually, if we can understand that, then we can see, the same truth in others. So even a conceptual realization, is of great importance, right, for spiritual seekers, just to understand that, okay, so my consciousness beyond any form of identity, it's the light that, beyond all appearances, and all appearances of anything, can't be me, right? So it reminded me of another Upanishad I forget which one it's called, but just it's not that the eyes can see, it's that by which the eyes can see. You know, it's not that the tongue can taste, it's that by which the tongue can taste. You know, it's not that the mind can think, it's that by which the mind can think, which is always just pointing, you know, to the absolute, the turiya, right? So the ātman, you know, or whatever name you're using to describe that. Like he said, I also like that he says that it can't be named, right? So the debates of, you know, who is God or what is the ultimate name, you know, can't be named. So they just call it, it's the fourth, right? And the fourth, you know, is the essence of all states. Because if there was no consciousness, you know, the very source of all experiencing, then there would be no experience. So fantastic teachings. Yeah, I love this teacher. So I'm looking forward to more of his lectures. So thank you so much for joining us. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Remember to subscribe. It really, really helps the channel. Let us know what you think of this teaching down in the comments section. And remember, raise yourself
and raise the world. Om Shanti, 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 everyone. And a very big thank you to all our members. We love you.
Peace.